I'm going to focus on this passage. Matthew 5:48. Therefore, you are to be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So that's not my words. That's Yeshua's words. That's the Son. He's telling you to be perfect, like his Father is perfect. That seems like high standards here. But let's see what he means by that, right? So, all right. So some context. I'm all about reading the Bible in context. This is the Sermon on the Mount. So, as Scotty said, there's 3 chapters in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, 6, and 7. This is right before that. So, Beatitudes, right? There's the Beatitudes, there's the blessings. He's talking to his disciples. Blessed are the merciful, blessed are the meek. Then he tells them that they are salt and light, and that they need to be salt to everyone and light to the nations. Then he goes into, do not think I came to abolish the law of the prophets. I did not come to abolish, but to fulfill. Then, continuing, he says, you have heard the ancients were told, and then he goes over the different laws: murder, adultery, false vows, eye for an eye. And then he gets to this part. This is how he ends chapter 5. It says, for if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? If you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Therefore, you are to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. So I love that part. He says, the world loves those who love them. Tax collectors do the same. If you greet only, don't even the Gentiles do the same. Scotty mentioned it. We are Israel now, right? We are grafted into that covenant. You don't want to do what the Gentiles are doing. They do that. He's equating being perfect for loving others who don't love you. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so if you know me personally, I love word studies. That word perfect is teleos. Strong's 50:46 means perfect, complete, mature, fully grown. Okay, so now, if you see the top right there, it's occurred 19 times in the New Testament, to be perfect. I'm going to go over a few of those, and wouldn't it be amazing if the Bible describes how to be perfect? If you just take that one-liner, you can have a million different definitions, but the Bible describes how to be perfect. Matthew 19:21, Yeshua said to him, if you wish to be complete or perfect, go and sell your possessions and give to the poor. You have treasures in heaven, and come follow me. So, first instance, if you have a selfish heart, he's telling you in order to become perfect like his Father is, you got to sell your possessions and give to the poor. Romans 12:1, therefore I urge you, brethren, by the mercy of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. A common bond that we have here at Olive Tree Fellowship and myself is that we see the priesthood. I see the priesthood, I'm going to talk about a lot of it, of the internal priesthood, the Melchizedek order. This is just one example of that. So we are to present our bodies as a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, spiritual service of worship. Obedience is a priestly task. Do not be conformed to this world. Renew your mind, right? We don't have those old thoughts, right? If you're doing all these things, you are on the road of perfection. You're on the road like the Father. Hebrews 5 says, for everyone who partakes only of milk is not accustomed to the word of righteousness, for he is an infant. But solid food is for the mature, who because of practice have their senses trained to discern good and evil. Scotty gave me a plug about my YouTube channel, Bromology. Basically, that broma means food. So it's the food of, it's going from milk to meat. So broma is that meat. It's the solid food. Partakers of milk, it's what it's saying here. For everyone who takes of milk is not accustomed to the word of righteousness. You are a baby. You need to mature. And solid food is for the mature. And what does it say? It says you can discern good and evil. You can discern good and evil when you're mature. I'd say that's pretty important. Little side tangent here. Wisdom and understanding, they're always together. That understanding, I looked into the Greek word and then the Hebrew, it means to discern. So There's, one of the gifts of the Spirit is discernment. That's actually understanding in Hebrew too. So I thought that was cool. Continuing on teleos and how to be perfect like your heavenly Father is perfect. It says, we have come to know that we have believed the love which God has for us. God is love, and the one who abides in love abides in God, and Yah abides in him. But this love is perfected with us, so that we may have confidence in the day of judgment. Because as he is, so also are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. So complete love, perfected love, has no fear. You have such faith when we're bowing down, every knee will bow. We have that judgment day. We have all the confidence in the world because we have that perfect completed love that casts out fear. Because fear involves punishment, and the one who fears is not perfected in love. If you are fearing, you are not walking this race. You're not perfect as the Heavenly Father is perfect. We love because he first loved us. If someone said, I love God and hates his brother, he is a liar. For the one who does not love his brother, whom he has seen, cannot love God, whom he has not seen. Again, I just want to highlight teleos. In order to be on that road of completion, to be like your Heavenly Father, you got to cast out that fear. James 1:2. Consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. I mean, I should just leave it like it is because it's just amazing, but in order to be complete and on the road of completion, you need to test your faith. We all go through various trials, right? It's an endurance. It's working out your salvation with fear and trembling, possibly. Let that endurance have perfect results, so you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. We're almost done with teleos here. So James 1:23 says, for if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror. For once he has looked at himself and gone away, he has immediately forgotten what kind of person he was. But the one who looks intently at the perfect law, the law of liberty, and abides by it, not having become a forgetful hearer, but an effective doer, this man will be blessed in what he does. So teleos is used right there. It's describing the Father's law as perfect. He's perfect, as Matthew 5 said, and James is saying his law is perfect, which we already know. James 3, let not many of you become teachers, my brethren, knowing that as such will incur a stricter judgment. For we all stumble in many ways. If anyone does not stumble in what he says, he is a perfect man, able to bridle the whole body as well. And it goes on about the tongue. It directs your path. It's like the ships as they go. They're great, driven by strong winds, but they have a very small rudder. So also the tongue is a small part of the body, yet it boasts of great things. So in order to be on the road of completion and be perfect, you got to bridle your tongue. Your tongue has to be in alignment with Father and Yeshua. Okay, so now on to the Hebrew. So the Hebrew equivalent for perfection is tamim. It means complete, whole, perfect, blameless, without blemish. To be perfect as your Heavenly Father is perfect. Let's go back to the Hebrew. To be complete, to be tamim as your Heavenly Father is tamim. Some verses that talk about that. Genesis 6:9. These are the records of the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his time. Noah walked with God. You always hear before the flood, he was very righteous, right? Noah was blameless in his time. That's to me. He was perfect. He was complete during that time. Exodus 12. Your lamb shall be unblemished, male, a year old. You may take it from the sheep or from goats. There were like 40 times that word tamim was used for the actual animal sacrifice. We are to present ourselves as complete, as unblemished. When we give our spiritual sacrifices, you got to clean your inside, right? It was amazing looking at that Hebrew word, and every sacrifice you needed an unblemished male or an unblemished lamb that was complete. I thought this was cool too. Leviticus 23. This is the festival chapter. You shall also count for yourselves from the day after the Sabbath, from the day when you brought in the sheaf of the wave offering. There shall be 7 complete Sabbaths. So that's talking about Shavuot. That word complete is Sabbath. It is completion and perfection. So you count 7 complete, perfect Sabbaths before Shavuot. I thought that was pretty cool. Deuteronomy 32:3, we're almost done here. For I proclaim the name of the Lord, ascribe greatness to our God, the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are just, a God of faithfulness and without injustice. Righteous and upright is he. We know who the rock is. We know he is faithful. We know his work is perfect. He's Tamim. He was even Tamim in Deuteronomy. Joshua. Scotty talked a lot about Joshua. Look at that verse. So the sun stood still and the moon stopped until the nation avenged themselves of their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jasher? And the sun stopped in the middle of the sky and did not hasten to go down for about a whole day. Even the day is complete. The day is perfect. It's Tamim. I mean, his creation is amazing. Okay, this is the last one before we get into some summaries. So completeness in the Psalms. He talked about meditating on his word day and night, of course. The Psalms are perfect too. So in Psalms 19:7, the law of the Lord is perfect. We talked about that in James. It restores the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. Psalms 101, my eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He who walks in a blameless way is the one who will minister to me. This is a priestly verse right here. You're ministering to him, and who does it? Those who walk in a blameless, completed, perfected way are the ones who do that. Psalms 119, number 1. How blessed are those whose way are blameless, who walk in the law of the Lord. He's telling you to be perfect as his heavenly Father is perfect. How do you do that? You've got to be blameless. Okay, let's do a summary. I know that was a lot. So let's do a summary on how to be perfect. So perfect equals teleos. If you remember, the first one was sell your possessions. So that was the rich man who approached Yeshua and asked him, how do I enter into heaven? And he tells him, because he read his heart. I don't necessarily believe everyone has to sell their possessions. He was looking at your heart. He was looking at your stronghold. Do you have one? Do you have something that you are not willing to give up? That's what you need to give up in order to become complete or perfect. Renewing of your mind. You can't have the same thoughts as you had as a Gentile. In order for you to be on the road to completion, on the road of perfection as your heavenly Father, you got to renew your mind. I know my mind's been 180 changed since coming to this truth. But that's, this is a tangible way to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. You should be able to discern good and evil. That's pretty self-explanatory. You should be able to see the variance. And by doing so, you have that understanding to be able to discern spirits. Perfect love casts out fear. Do you hate your brother? So that verse was talking about, arguments and division and all that kind of stuff. In order to have complete love, you got to throw that away. You got to throw that away. You got to reconcile. There's no fear on the road of completion. The testing of your faith through trials. Everyone's faith is tested every day, every week, every month, right? By completing those tests, you are on the road to completion. You are doing what your Father wants. He wants steadiness going through trials. That's what teleos is. That's what those lambs, they're unblemished going through trials. Doer of the law, doer of the word. Perfect teleos. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you're doing his law, doing his word, you're on the road to completion. And controlling your tongue. The tongue has so much power, yet it's so easy to misuse, as James says. If you can control your tongue, you are on the road to completion. And I found that interesting too, that verse is specifically for teachers too. They are held to a higher standard. Now some reminders of being complete or tamim. I tried to get the Old Testament view of being that perfect sacrifice, as the sheep. We're all sheep, right? He's the shepherd, metaphorically. We're all sheep. Who are we following? It's our job, in order to give him a sacrifice, to be complete and tamim. Noah was blameless in his time. He walked with God. Do you want to walk with God? Enoch walked with God. You can be blameless. It's not against the law to be blameless. You should strive for that. All the sacrifices that require the animal to be blameless. Again, in the priestly order, the priestly task. As priests, what do you think carrying his cross means? Picking up his cross every day? That's a priestly task. You have every day to restart your day and become a priest in that order. He wants you to be blameless, right? He's the high priest. He can forgive sins. But it's our job to walk it out. The rock is perfect. His way is perfect. Self-explanatory. Thank Yah for the perfect lamb, the perfect sacrifice, the rock of our salvation. What he did was perfection. We know that. A couple more. The sun stopped and did not go down for a whole day. Even his days are complete. I found that awesome. That was pretty cool. Again, on the priesthood, he who walks in a blameless way is the one who ministers to him. Minister is a priestly term, right? That's not, that words have definitions, right? So if you're a ministering to him, he wants you to walk in a blameless way in order to do that, right? So, I always talk about like prayer. What is prayer? Prayer is a priestly task, right? We have the high priest, but he wants us to pray on behalf of others, right? Other people can pray to Yeshua, but we are supposed to also pray for them because that's a priestly task, right? All the gifts of the Spirit, laying on of hands, all that kind of stuff are priestly tasks. But he wants you to be blameless while you do that, while you minister to him, while you serve others. He wants you to be blameless. Okay, so Matthew 5 again. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? If you greet only your brothers, what more are you doing than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Therefore, you are to be perfect, as your heavenly Father is perfect. I hope this talk gave a little bit more context to that at the end. So